Hi guys, and welcome to the Business as Unusual show. So if you're new to this and new to the channel, my name is Luke. I am the CEO of Sleeping Giant Media and Giant Campus, a digital marketing agency focusing on delivering relevant traffic to our clients' websites. But everything's gone mad. So our entire approach to business has completely changed. So we created a brand new live show, and this is it right now. And we have a fantastic guest on the show today. We have Jack Green, Olympian, speaker around mental health, who we had in the normal world. So before everything went crazy, we had Jack into the office to talk to our guys. We've got some fantastic insights that we're going to hear more from Jack in just a moment. The purpose of this show is really to try to get an insight into our guests, their challenges that they're facing on a personal level, on a business level, and hopefully share some insights, some ideas that we can all take forward or backwards to our businesses, to our personal lives, and help us feel hopefully a little bit less isolated during isolation. So without further ado, let's get Jack into this. 1 second. Hello, Jack. How are you doing?
Good, thank you. All good.
Good. We did a special video for you because you've got so much awesome content online. The guys were pretty excited about it.
Well, there's plenty of not so good content as well, so I'm glad that didn't come up.
No, we're focusing on the positive side of things. And actually, we were sort of chatting just pre-show, and before this was all kicking off, I think it was about 3 or 4 days before we officially went into lockdown. We were due to catch up for a beer, just to kind of to talk about a few things. So this is now the beer. This is the kind of opportunity to kind of pick up that conversation and kind of shoot the breeze. So what have you been up to? I heard you've started a new role since we last met.
Yeah, so things have really changed for me from being full-time athlete for the last 10 years. I started 6 days before lockdown as a wellbeing consultant at BBC Studios, which kind of came out of the blue and I'm very grateful for. And through my experience and obviously elite performance and mental health, it was seen as an opportunity for me from the team there. And yeah, I had 6 days in the office and then working from home. So not only did I have the challenges of being in a new world and one I've never been in, but I've also got to do it from home. So it's had its challenges and I've definitely struggled at times, but there's been lots of positives as well.
So how are you finding it so far? I mean, what sort of, you mentioned the mental health audit for BBC Studios. How do you kind of go about that? I'm genuinely really fascinated about how you kind of go about that.
Yeah, so I'm looking at our well-being at BBC Studios, basically what's being covered at the moment. So typical pillars can be broken up into mental health, physical health, and then there's financial health, social health, which I kind of look at as lifestyle, kind of looking at what's happening culturally within the business, what interventions and support are available. And for me, it's going into that business, speaking with stakeholders, employees, kind of getting a feel for it, finding out as much information as you can, not only from your own organisation, but others, to figure out how can we best help our employees. So I'm providing kind of that audit for BBC Studios to hopefully move forward and come up with a strategy that can, create a fantastic workspace for people to be at.
Amazing. And is this something that you're doing as kind of as an independent, or is it something that is it something you're going to do for other businesses as well going forward?
Yeah, well, this is something to discuss and look at and decide kind of what I want to do in my career. Because as I said, I kind of fell into this and it's gone reasonably well. And I believe I might get told otherwise, but so far it's gone reasonably well.
Superstar, Jack. Everybody absolutely loved you when you came into our office. Admittedly, not doing the audit, but doing the sort of the speaking piece as well. So how's that? I mean, we again chatting before that. There was, some issues with obviously the work that I do on a speaking level, you do on a speaking level, that we can't do it anymore. Hence why we have a live show. But I mean, how are you kind of navigating some of those challenges, or is it something you're kind of putting on hold right now?
Yeah, so I'm full time with Studios at the moment, so I'm on my laptop 9 to 5, standard as a lot of us are, and I'm very grateful for that because I've always been self-employed. So I was very lucky for almost a full time job, even though I'm consultancy and not working long-term contract. At least I've got some stable work, because being a professional coach and a public speaker, that would have been difficult for me. So I haven't been able to speak in terms of other businesses. There's a few things coming in, but I've managed managed to share my journey in 25 different team meetings and town halls within studios, just to kind of be the face of well-being and increase the awareness. So I've had a lot of practice, and yeah, I think that people are probably sick of hearing from me in studios. They'll probably be grateful when I leave now.
Well, there's a lot of content that's been pushed out at the moment, because obviously everyone's suddenly trying to scramble to be able to do kind of more of it. But I think it's that, it's the quality, hopefully, that shines through in the long term. And obviously the story that you shared with us when you came to the office was, obviously something really, really authentic and quite unique as well, because it's, it's not a lot of us get to to have the opportunity to be a professional athlete. So for those of you, for the people, the viewers that are sort of new and haven't heard your story, could you just give us a kind of a quick recap on what your journey has been? I saw that amazing infographic on LinkedIn. I thought it was incredible, which I was trying to sort out some tech, by the way, so I could display it, but I failed on that part. I must apologise. Could you just give us a quick kind of recap on the kind of the journey so far?
Yeah, a real couple minutes kind of talk is essentially I was a very good young athlete, progressed very quickly from being a junior athlete into the senior ranks. I went from 105th to 16th in the world in my first year as a professional at the age of 18, 19. And then a year later, we had the Olympics. And my life had been very easy at this point, very much. I was just a talented kid that worked hard and got lots of results, but I hadn't learned anything, and my emotional intelligence and my awareness of mental health was poor. I ended up going to the London 2012 Olympics, being top 10 in the world, not achieving what I wanted, finishing fourth in the relay, falling in the hurdles. Then my story kind of got interesting. That was a big trigger for me to struggle with mental health myself, depression, bipolar tendencies, and anxiety. And my journey then was all like moving back into the sport after some time out. Of which I was self-coached, self-funded, various things, really, really tough. But in that time, whilst managing my mental health, I managed to win medals at world and European level, and went to another Olympics, finished fourth at Commonwealths, whilst managing my mental health. So a lot of my story is very much about resilience and some of the mindset changes that I kind of learned along the way. And that led me to now and leaving the sport at the prime age of 28, because I decided that I wasn't willing to sacrifice myself for something that actually wasn't something I was passionate about anymore. And obviously there's so much more to my story, as you heard. But that's the general consensus, that essentially I struggled with my mental health, yet I was able to achieve and perform. And I think that's some interesting lessons for people to learn.
Absolutely, and it's a fantastic talk and session that you did with the team in the normal world before we all removed to our various different bedrooms and dining rooms, etc. But anyone watching that, assuming when we get back to the normal, whatever that might look like, if you can do public speaking in the same way that we used to do it, then I'd definitely recommend some time with Jack. It's absolutely fantastic. We're now apparently live on YouTube as well, so welcome everybody who is on YouTube. We had a few issues with our technology getting that set up. I have just received a text, so thank you very much for updating that, guys, in the background. So moving on, actually we've got could you give us like your present sort of feeling, so 3 words at the moment that help describe how you feel on a personal level, so 3 words that sums up how you're feeling right now?
This is tough. So stressed is one, because I'm delivering an audit and going through a load
of stress.
Of stuff. No, not at all. But it's fine. It's part of life. It's about managing it. So I'd say I'm stressed, but I'm also incredibly grateful. I'm grateful to live down in Kent. We've got a lot of people within the business who are, up in London, middle floor flat, living on their own. I'm very lucky. I've got the dog and the seaside and countryside, so I'm very grateful for that. And then I'm quite optimistic, because I've got a lot of opportunities within my own life personally to move forward with this. And I think also the optimism is because I think a lot of people are going to be very open to well-being, mental health, moving out of this, because we've all kind of been thrust into that world of having to manage it because of coronavirus. So
absolutely, yeah. And on that, I mean, have you? You mentioned some of the guys that you're working with in kind of middle floor flats, London. This lockdown is a very different thing for people, isn't it? It's kind of unfortunate as well. Based in Kent, we have we've got access to open spaces with not a lot of people, which is kind of doesn't make it so bad. Very, very kind of lucky to be in that situation. But how do you think those people are kind of dealing with it? And we mentioned pre-show that this is probably the point where, 5 weeks into this, it starts to kind of really kind of hurt a little bit. How do you help? Any advice, any ideas to help handle that?
Yeah, for sure. It's a really difficult time, and especially every time you get told that there's a little bit longer to stay in, it's becoming more real, and it's as you said, it's that feeling of almost helplessness because there's the uncertainty. So for me, within my work, doing a lot of research at the moment, speaking with charities, and all their phone lines are blowing up more than they've ever had, and predominantly around anxiety, and that becomes apparent because of the uncertainty we have. So for me, it's about staying present. So living in the now, what can I do now? Looking at those controllables, what's within my control and what's not, and trying to make peace with that. Moving forward in terms of your feelings and emotions and access and vulnerability, it's giving yourself permission. It's saying, look, you're allowed to feel certain ways. There's nothing wrong about having a bad day, feeling stressed, feeling sad, feeling anxious, no matter what society might have told you. Being, in my case, male and a sports person who's deemed to be successful, I wasn't allowed to feel certain ways as such. So I'd struggle with that. So as soon as you give yourself permission to feel anyway, realize it's very human, and you make peace with it and you accept those feelings, sit with them and embrace them, you realize they're not actually that powerful, and that they come and they go. Yeah. So that's a huge one. In terms of what we're doing with work, is we've got a lot of resources available in terms of working from home, and how, in terms of physical activity, your sleep, nutrition, real staple stuff we all know, but we never practice it particularly well, including me, who was a professional athlete. I don't do that as well as I should. But there's a lot of research that shows that there was a fantastic study in terms of sport recently that showed professional athletes that slept less than 8 hours a night were 80% more likely to get injured than those that slept more than 8 hours. Now, I appreciate that's professional sport, but that's almost guaranteeing an injury. Now, if we look at that from a well-being aspect, your mental health, physical health, and so on, if we're sleeping less than 8 hours, we're guaranteeing there's going to be an issue. So that's like number one. Nutrition, they're saying it shouldn't even be 5 fruit and veg a day. We're looking at 7, 8, because there's nutrients within your fruit and veg that are shown to fight off and prevent respiratory infections, of which COVID is respiratory. So real simple stuff here. And then in terms of stress and anxiety, we all know that that's high at the moment. Physical activity is seen as something that can reduce that. And yet the studies show that just 30 minutes of low to medium intensity exercise, and low medium intensity includes walking, 30 minutes a week, not even a day, is shown to reduce it. Oh, wow. So bearing in mind we all get an hour a day to get outside, I think it's really important we make the most of that. And then one little handy thing that I do for my own mental health, and it's been particularly helpful, especially now in this corporate environment I've ended up in, is small to-do lists. And I don't mean small in terms of the length of that to-do list. I mean in terms of the things on it. Yeah. So that is, when I really struggled with my mental health, getting out of bed was an achievement, right? And it's something that when you're in a good place or you're doing okay, you take for granted, all these little things. So what I do with my to-do list, I write down everything I do in the day and tick it off. So getting out of bed, tick. Go walk the dog, tick. All these things I don't think about, I just do. Making my breakfast, lunch, little things at work. I've had this meeting, I've done this podcast, whatever it might be. Because then at the end of the day, I look at that list and go, wow, I've achieved a lot. I've been really productive, rather than my mindset, which used to be, if I'm not Olympic champion, I'm a failure. Yeah. If I haven't delivered my main, goal in life, I'm a failure. And in most days, you'll think you're a failure and it's negative. So actually looking, am I working towards that goal by doing all these things each day and really breaking it down and making it a lot easier? But yeah, as I said, there's lots of different things. And within studios, some of the things that I've helped bring in are trying to be as authentic as possible, to doing my talks and trying to bring that open, authentic environment. Something our guys really want is that human element. We don't want corporate. I don't need a robot talking to me. Very much so, yeah. Particularly now. Yeah, exactly. So setting up virtual pubs and things like that is fantastic. Coffee mornings, we've been doing it within our work, and it's been great, and it brings that connection. Have you got a virtual pub set up now, Jack? Have you got one set up? Yeah, every Friday. Damn, I need to get involved with that. I need to get involved. We've got a quiz this Friday. What time's the pub open? Our pub's open at 5. I like it. You find out who really slacks on work, like me, and then you get a load of senior leadership turning up at 6, and you're like, oh, I probably should have worked till 6. But that's kind of the culture we're trying to. I like it. No, I like it.
Well, this is it. This is why we started this at 4:30 on a Friday. That's beer o'clock in the normal world, in our normal world when we're back in the office. And I can see. So we've got Liam on the chat with a few beers in his hand, either that or just in chat. So he's kind of he's taken that already. I like that. Good work, Liam. I've got hi Jack as well, and a question from Danny on Periscope is Jack worried about the size of that quiff during lockdown, or is it something that could be concerning generally? I'm wondering how, like, you can't access hairdressers right now. It's going to get out of hand.
I'm a bit Johnny Bravo now, yeah.
It's a strong look. Don't worry about it.
And the worry is my hair is a defining part of me, and probably the only good part of my personality. So I can't do it myself because I can't risk losing it all. So yeah, just going to have to keep going Johnny Bravo and hope that this is over just for my hair, let alone the rest.
I think Johnny Bravo is cool. He's kind of aspirational character anyway. So I think that's.
See, really? Thanks for the compliment.
No, I'm working with it. I'm working with what I've got there. You'll be pleased to know. So I've on the 8 hours sleep. So I've ditched my PlayStation. I used to play far too much gaming in the evening, and the amount of sleep I find I need right now because of the constant new thinking is way more than I used to. I didn't need that much sleep, but it's something that I think probably a lot of us are going through right now. I have a lot of people I've been talking to just feeling exhausted all the time, and I think it's kind of new thinking. It's like testing your brain in ways that it hasn't had to sort of do before. I'm guessing you're going through that with your new job as well, with the new work that you're doing, which is almost like a double impact of the situation plus a new role in itself. Yeah,
exactly. I'm trying to find my feet whilst doing it away from the office and away from people, and I think what you were kind of talking about there as well is you're looking at all this screen time we're doing now. I spend all the time on the phone, and looking at it, and at work you're on your laptop and things, but you have those breaks and you come and you go. Whereas with Zoom and Skype and all these different things we're using, you have to be so switched on, mainly because people watch you and you have to show that you're active and paying attention. Whereas if you're in a room of 10 people, you just kind of lay back and have a little look around. You're still listening, but you can't really do that on Zoom. You have to be so into it that we're all getting this fatigue. And then the last thing that a lot of people want to do is then do more screen time after.
Yeah.
Something that I'm kind of looking at and trying to build into our well-being culture in terms of meetings is, right, everyone sets half an hour meetings just because it fits well, right? But the problem that we get, especially at the moment, is you do one half an hour or 1 hour and you go straight into the next one. There's no break. It's just continuous. So how can we start pushing forward for, let's do 20 minute or 50 minute or 45 minute Zoom? How do we do that so that then we get that 10 minute break, 15, 10, whatever minute break to kind of digest, maybe write up a few notes, or just have a little go grab a drink.
Stand up and move around. Yeah.
Because too many of us are sitting there and just going back to back.
Yeah, agreed.
So.
Yeah, the productivity it's interesting. We talked about it previously on the show. The productivity that kind of everyone's experiencing has just suddenly gone from here to here. Because of the capability to be able to do that, but it's just exhausting at the same time. So I'm just, for some reason, that your screen just changed shape, so everybody's just wondering why your screen's just moving around. The joys of technology. But so going on to the kind of the role that you have at the moment, what 3 words would you describe how you're kind of feeling towards the work aspect of your life at the moment?
Overwhelming is one, but that can be taken either way. It's not a negative because there's a lot of stuff I'm learning. So overwhelming. It's inspiring. I'm in a position I can make some change and help people, which is part of my purpose and something I particularly enjoy. An opportunistic. There's room to grow with it. There's room to take it to new places, whether that's for me personally or within the business. Like, well-being so big, just defining well-being is really hard. So we can move forward, work with the business. How do we work with, and we have different challenges at studios, being a production and distribution company. We've got lots of different people who work in lots of different ways, and how do we support them? So it's really exciting, inspiring time.
Amazing. And actually, in a question around the audit, because I was just thinking, obviously you're going to be in this kind of transition phase where you're trying to do this audit work for the business as it was, but trying to make sure it's relevant for the future as well. Because you talked about kind of Zoom and how that might feature as part. Is that probably the cause of some of that that anxiety, that challenge of trying to almost do it in a split world where you're trying to understand what happens next in order to build recommendations?
Yeah, and we very, very much kind of look at that and have split it into, look, this is COVID-19, coronavirus. This is the stuff we've done really well in reacting to that, because we've all had to react. You can't be proactive. No one predicted this.
Yeah.
So we've done really well in certain ways. Here are some of the learnings that we should probably be moving forward with, because life's going to change. We're not all going to be in office every day of the week. It's completely stupid for us if we did move forward and carried on with that. Sorry. And kind of gone on that aspect and then gone, here's actually what we need long term.
Yeah.
So tried to do it in terms of more of a reflection rather than focusing solely on that.
Oh, fantastic. It sounds really, really interesting. I don't know if there's anything when you've not necessarily related to the BBC Studios, but anything around like the sort of things that you look at. I'd be really, really fascinated to kind of hear more about that. If it's an opportunity to kind of share that at some stage, that'd be great.
Sure.
Just going to chat, just to say hi to Christian from Brazil. Gotta love technology right now. That's amazing. Sorry to Lizzie. We made you think it was Friday. Sorry for that. Bummer. We have Thursday and Friday to come after this one, I'm afraid to say. And Masoodin, who you may remember from our office, has asked, how fast can you run the 100 meters?
Last time I did it, I was 15. I ran 10.8.
10.8.
My splits, probably on my fastest 400, my split on one of them was a 10.4, I think, like 300, between 200 and 300. So I'd like to think I was fast, but compared to some of those real big boys, it's nothing. It's not even scratching the surface if you compare it to guys running sub 10 for fun.
I'm now waiting for Masoodin to respond in chat, because I'm confident that he's now going to exaggerate how fast he can run to try to make sure
if he can run really fast, I'll coach him. So
I think his running days are done at the moment, and he's got a dodgy knee. But I'm sure he's not going to try and keep up with that. I was waiting for him to say he can do it in 10.7. That's kind of classic Masoodin. But yeah, and Liz saying that definitely agree about how tiring it is to be kind of going back to back from from kind of one Zoom chat. And she's saying that reading books is kind of helping her to kind of switch away from that kind of screen time. So yeah, I mean, on that, if you were more about you, Jack, if you were on a desert island, okay, and you couldn't there's no internet connection there. What DVD or CD would you take? There is a player and there's a TV screen, etc. What DVD or CD would you take with you on the island?
So I had this asked. There was a thing going around on Facebook about like music and CDs that have changed your life as such, or a big impact. And for me, my first album that I kind of really remember was Killer's Hot Fuss. Nice. That would be one that
love it.
I can listen to on repeat. That's not a problem. And DVD is hard. Do you go for something that's like you're looking at? I should probably talk about BBC stuff anyway. I'm probably not going to, but I should. And we do this, buy our stuff. But for me, one of my favourite films is called The Express. I like anything that's true story, but The Express, American football story, but actually Unbroken's probably the best one. If anyone's read the book or seen the film, about a 5K distance runner who went to the Olympics and then was a prisoner of war over in Japan, and it's all about resilience and surviving out at sea and then surviving capture. So that'd probably be quite good if I'm stuck on a desert island. It might give me some inspiration. Interesting. No, I definitely go along with the Killers album. That's awesome. I remember that album. I haven't seen that film. I think I should. I think I've probably got some time. Is it on Netflix at the moment? Yeah. What isn't? So.
Yeah, it is a good. Apparently, if some people have completed Netflix, as I see from the internet at the moment, which is an achievement in itself. I was actually.
Is it?
Go on, sorry.
Is it an is that an achievement?
Look, you said
there's a lot of Netflix that we probably shouldn't watch.
That's true. There is some really not positive things on there for sure. But I was just trying to go along with, you said like pick the wins. You said pick the wins. This is like your own words. And I was going to say like, have you done Nike Run Club at all? Have you done any? There's no plugs here. There's no like I don't have an affiliate link. So.
Considering they don't pay me anymore, I'm probably going to say no. I am a sprinter. I don't do jogging. I don't do I can't stand it.
Oh,
It's too
really?
long. I'm a sprinter. I get it done, do it fast, do it well, finish. I can't spend that much time in my head. However, in terms of workouts, doing a lot for the business, I now do 7 workouts a week on Zoom, 15-minute workouts to help out our employees, and
Oh,
so
amazing.
that's been fun. That's gone down well and keeps me active as well because get to the end of the day, I wouldn't bother doing anything, quite frankly. I
Yeah.
couldn't be bothered. But I did also fracture my ankle and rupture ligaments a month ago. So just on a walk, trying and then being active out on my hour out of lockdown. So I'm
Yeah.
dealing with that too. All good fun.
Yeah. So are you over that injury, or are you still kind of sort of handling it?
I've recovered really quick, luckily, and can do lots of stuff. But it's definitely still swollen and not particularly great.
Yeah.
But I can still
What do you
I
do in
can
that?
still get.
What do you do in that situation? Because so I've been trying to do the bleep test. I don't know. Have you ever done the bleep test?
Yeah, at school.
So
Yeah.
I'm now at level 13. So I've upped my game. I'm now at level 13. Which again, I did it back at school. I think I did level 14 and a half or something. So I was more distance running back in the day. But yeah, I've done something to my knee. So I now need to try to shift my focus away to something else. So what are you doing in terms of like, what's the annoyance of not being able to train the way that you want to train?
I can't really do much running at the moment. So as I said, I'm doing these workouts, so
Mm,
looking at body weight and trying to do that as best I can. And the other limit is obviously we can't get in the gym, right?
yeah.
So really important thing I think with workouts at the moment is it's all body weight, but you don't have to be doing something for an hour to get a good session. You can literally pick five exercises. You can do 20 seconds on, 20 seconds off, do 3 rounds of each, and you will be blowing by the end of it because it's all about intensity. It's not about the duration. Like you can make any session easy, you can make any session hard. If you don't do it very like at high intensity, it's going to be easy.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how long or short it is. It's just, well, if I don't bother, it's fine.
Mm,
Same way that you can do something for 10 seconds, but you go flat out, it's going to start hurting.
yeah.
So for me, it's just being a bit clever in terms of I don't want to be doing something for a long time. So what can I do? High intensity, few things that will tick that box. And as we said earlier, the 30 minutes a week of low to medium is enough to reduce your stress and anxiety. So
Mm.
we don't have to do loads to improve our fitness or help our well-being.
Yeah, interesting. We've got Dan in the chat on Facebook who works for a hospital who's now got. I think he's got. He knows that Masood's got a knee injury, so he's got a potential kind of there. He now knows that he's got an ankle injury, so he's got some offers of help there. This is working out well for you, Dan. This is like lead gen for you straight away. One of the things that I wanted to quickly quiz you on actually, because we talked about this week being kind of particularly difficult, and you actually said to focus on in the moment, which great advice. What's your thoughts about slightly looking long term? So the reason that this is kind of loaded, because one of the things we were looking at and wondering about is trying to help focus on the big, hairy, audacious goals. So kind of what are the big things that we can kind of look forward to? Do you think that's good? Do you think that's dangerous? Out of interest, I'd just be curious.
No, it's definitely good to have them. You need to know which direction you're going,
Mm,
but you have to understand there's a journey along the way, and all these little things are what add up to it.
yeah.
The big goal kind of looks after itself if you do the job beforehand, whereas too many of us go, well, this is what I'm going to achieve. And then if you ask how, then people can't answer, just, well, I am. So,
Mm,
yeah, but tell me how you get there. What's the plan? So for me, it's looking at all those little steps and also understanding that sometimes those little steps won't go well and you'll go back a few and you have to move forward. And that was something I didn't learn till a lot later in my career. I'd tell people I'm going to be Olympic champion. And they'd go, well, how are you going to do that? I don't know. I'm just going to be it. Whereas you've got to have a plan. You've got
yeah.
to have some strategy, some structure. And I think in terms of if you look at right now and if you're going to make some big goals, I think measuring your, and lowering your expectation is really key because a lot of people are talking about, and I think the reason a lot of people are struggling at the moment is everyone's talking about, oh, we're getting back to, normal business and normalizing. And I hate it. And I've been kicking off about it because the reality is, right, people are settled and getting a bit more comfortable and able to do some work and have some structure. However, this is not normal and it won't be normal for a long time. And as soon as you say normal or normalizing, everyone's expectations go high because their expectations of normal are really high when you're in the office, you've got this and this and other stresses aren't apparent. So for me, it's managing that expectation. I want people to understand that things aren't going to be great at the moment. I don't work as well from home as when I'm in the office. So I'm not going to get as much done. So I manage my expectations in terms of effort. It's today, did I give everything that I possibly could in terms of what I'm feeling, how much is in the tank? Right, cool. I gave 100% effort. That's all I can ask for. It doesn't matter what the result is.
Absolutely.
And what I learned from, and I would have said this at your office when I came in before all this happened, that for me, I've worked with the best athletes in the world record holders, some of the best athletes you'll ever meet, and they are not super athletes every day. They're just incredibly consistent in their effort. They don't turn up and break world records in training every day. Some days they are not very good, but they always turn up, show up, give all of themselves, give 100% effort, and that's all you can really ask. So I'd love to see that mentality kind of come into the now, rather than, well, why aren't we still delivering this when we know why we're not, because this isn't the ideal environment for us.
Yeah, so giving your best, but understanding that sometimes no matter what you give, the situation's different. It's going to be challenging. It may not be optimum for you to achieve the what you used to achieve in the same level of effort, as it were.
Exactly. Things are different. Life changes, and you'll have some day, even when the environment is perfect, you'll have some days where you're not great. It's human. It's fine. We can't sustain high intensity for a long time. It's not possible. So, when the days are good, go for it. And when they're not so good, just give what you can.
Amazing. So. Great. Jack, we're going to have to call it there because we are over time slightly, but it's been absolutely fascinating to catch up and really frustrating we didn't get a chance to do that beer before everything kind of kicked off. But if you could share the link to your virtual pub, that'd be awesome. We can share that with the team. But just a massive thanks from me. Thank you for coming on, and the chat's been loving the conversation. So thank you very much for that, and hopefully get a chance to catch up again soon.
Yes, thank you very much.
Right, guys, so that is it for this show. We'll be back here again on Friday at 4:30 with beers in hand. So we will be interviewing Liam Kingsnorth. He has been in the chat as well. Liam, sorry, we haven't got time for the brain teaser. We've got some tech problems. We're going to do the whole heads up game, but I'm hoping we'll be back online for that on Friday, and you'll get a chance to win one of these branded mugs. So thanks very much for joining us, guys. I hope you found it useful. I thought some amazing insights there from Jack. And obviously to wish him the best for the next challenges that he's got. And again, likewise to everybody out there dealing with all the challenges that you have, best of luck. And hopefully some ideas here to make it a little bit less isolating during isolation. So thanks again, and look forward to seeing you again on Friday.